Worldwide, around 12 million people are living with Parkinson's disease. Here in Kentucky, that number is estimated at around 15,000. Saturday marked World Parkinson's Day, and doctors are using the opportunity to teach about the signs of the disease and why awareness matters. Parkinson's affects movement and often develops gradually. Common symptoms include slowness of movement, muscle stiffness, and the most known sign, a noticeable tremor. Norton Healthcare says several factors can raise a person's risk, including age, sex, genetics, and certain environmental exposures, making early recognition especially important.
It's important to be aware of what the signs and symptoms of Parkinson's are, particularly if you might have risk factors, if you might have family members. We know it's not typically a genetic disease in the sense that if someone in your family had it, you're likely to get it as well, but we do know that can increase your risk. And so I think being aware of the disease, being aware of the symptoms of the disease, and then having a discussion with your doctor.
There is currently no cure for Parkinson's, but early diagnosis, new technology, and cutting-edge treatments are improving outcomes for patients with it.